In a world where truth and justice often seem elusive, sometimes the law catches up in the most dramatic ways. Our story begins with a formidable figure entering the legal ring against none other than Donald Trump. As the stakes mount, it's not just about a personal battle. It's a battle that could alter the course of American politics. The key players? A charismatic, controversial former president and a relentless legal opponent, each with their own complex network of alliances and rivalries. Both are well-versed in the art of legal warfare, each bringing their own unique strategies to the table. This wasn't just another day in court, it was the beginning of a high-stakes game of power and influence. The initial legal battles were fraught with tension, setting the tone for what was to come. And so, the stage was set for a legal showdown that would shake the foundations of American politics. As the battle ensued, both sides were put through the ringer, their every move scrutinized by the public and the media. The legal showdown between Trump and his adversary was nothing short of a roller coaster ride, with twists and turns that kept everyone on edge. The courtroom was their battlefield, the public their jury. Trump's legal team, armed with their astute knowledge of the law and unyielding determination, presented a robust defense. They employed a strategy of meticulous examination of every detail, leaving no stone unturned. Their efforts were not in vain, as they managed to secure several victories along the way. On the other side, Trump's opponent also had their fair share of struggles. They were up against a formidable opponent after all. However, they were not deterred. They too had their moments of triumph, moments when they managed to turn the tide in their favor. Their strategy was one of relentless pursuit, challenging every claim, every piece of evidence presented by Trump's team. The public watched, captivated by the unfolding drama. Opinions were divided, with some supporting Trump, others his opponent. The media, always hungry for a scoop, amplified every development, adding fuel to the already raging fire. The reactions ranged from outrage to admiration, disbelief to unwavering support. The pressure was immense, the stakes high. Yet both sides remained unfazed, standing their ground, refusing to back down. The courtroom battles were intense, the victories sweet, the losses bitter. But each setback was seen as a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. And so, the legal tug-of-war continued, with neither side willing to give an inch. The courtroom became a stage, the lawyers the actors, each playing their part in this high-stakes drama. The public, the media, they were all witnesses to this spectacle, each twist and turn more gripping than the last. Through it all, both sides remained resolute, each believing in their cause and ready to fight to the bitter end. But in every story, there comes a turning point, a moment that changes everything. In this narrative, that moment arrived like a thunderbolt, utterly unexpected and yet, in hindsight, as inevitable as the setting sun. It was the moment when the evidence against Trump's legal opponent began to emerge, slowly at first, like the first tentative rays of dawn, and then with increasing strength and intensity until it was impossible to ignore. The evidence was damning. It was the kind of evidence that turns cases, that changes minds, that shatters illusions. It was the kind of evidence that once seen cannot be unseen. And it changed everything. As the evidence began to pile up, the reactions were as varied as they were intense. On one side, there was shock and disbelief, a sense of betrayal, of having been fooled. On the other side, there was a sense of vindication, of having been right all along, of justice finally being served. The public's response was equally divided. Some saw it as proof of a deep-seated corruption, a sign that the system was broken and needed to be fixed. Others saw it as a politically motivated witch hunt, an attempt to discredit and undermine a man who had dared to stand up to power. But regardless of where one stood, one thing was clear. The tide had turned. The momentum had shifted. The balance of power had changed. And with it, the stakes had become impossibly high. The tension was palpable, the atmosphere charged with anticipation and uncertainty. It was as if the whole world was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. This was not just a legal battle anymore. It had become a test of faith, a trial of conviction, a fight for the very soul of justice itself. And then, just when it seemed like things couldn't get any more intense, they did. The evidence was not just damning, it was irrefutable. It was the kind of evidence that doesn't just tip the scales, it obliterates them. With this revelation, the scales of justice began to tip, and the endgame was in sight. In a twist of fate that no one saw coming, Trump's legal opponent was arrested. The charges were severe and had wide-ranging implications. Federal agents acting on a warrant swooped in, catching the legal eagle off guard. The charges included financial fraud, a serious offense that could potentially lead to years behind bars. The response from Trump's camp was swift and, as expected, filled with a sense of vindication. They argued that this arrest was evidence of their long-standing claim about their opponent's questionable practices. But it wasn't just Trump's camp that was vocal. The public reaction was a whirlwind of shock, dismay, and for some, a strange sense of satisfaction. The arrest created waves across the nation, sparking debates on social media platforms and dinner tables alike. Many voiced their concerns about the integrity of the legal system, while others stood firm, believing that the system had worked exactly as it should. In the end, the law had its day, proving once again that no one is above justice. In the aftermath of the arrest, the world was left to ponder the implications. It was as if a seismic shift had occurred, sending ripples across the political landscape. Reactions were as diverse as they were impassioned. Supporters hailed the arrest as a victory for justice, while critics decried it as a political witch hunt. The media, as ever, was a whirlwind of speculation and analysis, fueling the fire of public debate. The immediate impact was palpable, but the long-term effects were less certain. Some speculated this could be a turning point, a watershed moment in American politics. Others suggested it could further deepen the divide, hardening attitudes rather than changing them. In both cases, the event has undeniably etched itself into the annals of history. But amidst the conjecture and the controversy, a more profound truth emerged. This saga has shown us that justice is not a game of winners and losers. It's a relentless pursuit of truth, a journey that often proves more important than the destination. As the dust settles, one thing is clear. This saga is a stark reminder that in the pursuit of justice, there are no winners or losers, only truth.